Back in the arcades, one of the most popular genres of games was the shmup. So when you take the horizontal variety and you mix it with a sugar-fueled aesthetic and a loose connection to Space Harrier, you can only get Fantasy Zone by Sega. The story of Fantasy Zone is a simple one. An evil army has invaded, and it's up to Opa Opa, the sentient spaceship with cherub wings, to go stop it. And in case you're still wondering, that would be you. So, good luck. No pressure, but if you mess up, the entire world gets destroyed. Go get 'em, Skippy. It's an arcade game, so you get dropped right into the action to fend for yourself right off the bat. However, it does start off slowly to give you a bit of a chance to figure things out. But in natural arcade fashion, it ramps up pretty quickly from level to level, and the longer you stay on any one level, the faster enemies get. Fantasy Zone takes the basic mechanics of what was arguably the first video game, Space War, in that you have to go and shoot the other things, but Fantasy Zone puts its own spin on this formula by introducing enemy generators. They continually spawn different enemies, but if you destroy all 10 in any one level, you go and challenge the boss. And these things are massive and awesome. So, while you have to go shoot the things, there's a lot of things for you to shoot, but they'll stop spawning and you can go shoot the bigger thing if you shoot the smaller things that keep making more things. Now, to help you find these generators, there is a map at the bottom of your HUD, and the level is a looping cylinder, so even if you get lost with the map somehow, if you keep going in one direction, you'll find what you're looking for. And if you can't, I can't help you, and I'm not sure anyone else can. To help you achieve this sucrose-fueled genocide, you've got two buttons. One fires bullets, one drops bombs. In some ports, there's a turbo mode, but that's only for the weak. This game is hard, and while it's not bullet hell by any means, your hitbox is your entire sprite. There's none of that bullet grazing nonsense. You either get hit or you don't, and you can't afford to get hit, as it's one hit, one death. The controls themselves are quick and responsive, which is good at helping you evade enemies and projectiles, because you're going to have to do a lot of that. There's also an equipment mechanic. When you earn enough points, a shop will fall from the heavens so that you can arm yourself to fight off the invaders. You can buy different engines to go faster, new guns, as well as different bombs to help take out your foes with extreme prejudice. This equipment actually masks a deeper resource management mechanic, as the shop only appears when you've got so many points. Guns run on a timer, so you have to be selective about when you want to use them. Bombs, with the exception of the double bomb, are limited to use. Each time you buy one bomb, you get one use out of it. You kinda need to plan out how you want to use them, so that you don't waste all that money. Engines are probably the most tricky though, as while all of them will make you move faster, a good number of them will end up making you move too fast and end up colliding into an enemy. As you purchase items, they go up in price progressively. So while one gun might be $500 this time, it'll be $1,000 next time, and so on until everything just costs so much money. To top it all off, you lose all of your equipment when you die. The design of the equipment was actually really brilliant, because you really need to think about your game while you're playing it. What you're going to need, when you're going to need it, and you need to try and save as much money in case you die, lose all your gear, and need to start from scratch on a boss or whatever. You don't want your basic pea shooter. The Fantasy Zone is a bright and colorful place to explore. The high contrasting backgrounds make it quite easy to distinguish bullets and enemies and generators from the backgrounds, your character, everything else. Every level has different looking enemies and generators to match the general theme of the individual level, but they don't stray far enough away from the overall bright, kinda cutesy theme of the game. It creates a good transition between levels, and makes each level have their own distinct feel, all while keeping one unified aesthetic. The soundtrack matches the aesthetic in that it's cheery and upbeat. Sound effects feel quite suitable for the aesthetic. While fitting, they're not terribly loud or realistic, which is preferable for such an outlandish, cute game. There are 8 stages and a merciless difficulty, which will challenge you to continue. High scores and being able to see the end of the game will entice players to continue playing. and slowly bankrupting the player one quarter at a time, so you know it's doing its job as an arcade game, as well as just being a generally good game. While it might be one of the pioneers of the cute-em-up subgenre, it's no slouch in gameplay. If you love shmups, you'll probably at least have some interest in Fantasy Zone. However, bullet hell fans will probably find it a bit too easy. It's also a great starting game for the young just getting into gaming. It's got tight responsive controls and a bright, engaging setting. It helps teach failure and satisfaction of overcoming great challenge because it is quite hard. And it's an older title, so it would help visually teach them the progression of the industry compared to what we have today, and maybe give them a newfound respect for where we've come in the past 20 years. Fantasy Zone is a really easy to find game as well. While the original is an arcade cabinet, and if you have that, I hate you, you can find it on the SMS, Genesis, Famicom, NES, several hundred compilations by now. Most recent of my knowledge being the Ultimate Genesis collection on 360 and PS3, and even available on the Wii Virtual Console, so it's not a terribly hard or expensive game to find. But if you have any interest in shmups, I'd recommend finding a copy of this. It's not terribly expensive and it's fun to play.